everyone. This is Maria Furry with the Expert Compliance Training Institute, and I'm here today to talk to you about the country group. So this is in reference to the Export Administration Regulations, also known as the EAR. So the country groups under the EAR are a set of groups where countries are organized into different tiers based on their relationship with the US and also based on world events. You can find the country groups under supplement number 1 to part 740 of the EAR. And they're primarily used to identify whether a license exception is available for an item you're exporting to a particular country. They're also important to identify countries of particular concern for certain reasons, sometimes triggering additional Part 744 license requirements based on the end use. So I think it's important to, when you're actually thinking, or now that we're going to do the breakdown of the country groups, to think about how they're organized. And a good way to understand that is thinking first that they're very similar to the school grade system where, you would probably want an A or a B. That's pretty right, the most desirable grades. And then E and F are definitely not as desirable, except in this case, letter E is the worst, and there is actually no F in the country groups. So now let's start with the very beginning, country group A. But for that, I think it's important to first show you what the country groups actually look like so you can visualize what I'm trying to explain here. So I'm just gonna quickly share my screen. There we go. So now you can see here, these are the country groups. As I mentioned, they're in supplement number 1 to part 740. And as you can see here, a bunch of countries, and they're, further subdivided into different sections. So countries that are found in a country group A, these are allies of the United States and have the most favorable treatment under the Export Administration Regulations. They're also part of the multilateral export control regime, such as the Wassenaar Arrangement that focuses on conventional weapons and dual-use goods and technologies. Or, for example, the Nuclear Suppliers Group, which focuses on the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. These are just to name a few. Of course, I'm not going to go into the details of providing, all the multilateral export control regimes and what they are. But I thought it was important for me to mention that. And also, if this is your first time hearing about it, I think it's also important to mention that the multilateral export control regimes are actually informal agreements between countries, and they're not legally binding. So I thought it was important to mention that, if this was your first time hearing about them. But yes, as you can see here, we have a couple of countries that are part of these informal agreements, and we also have A5 and A6. And as you can see here, there's nothing written down for that. You're probably wondering, well, what is A5 and A6? I'm here to tell you what A5 and A6 is. So these are eligible destinations under license exception STA, which stands for Strategic Trade Authorization. So yeah, that's what country groups A5 and A6 are. And now we can move on to country group B. So as you can see here, these groups, this group is actually not subdivided like the other ones are. And I think it's important also to mention that here's where you will find most of the countries in the world, as you can see. And this qualifies certain countries for license exceptions. So I'm going to scroll down here so you can have a sense of the countries. But yeah, as you can see here, you will find multiple countries until, in this country group B. And now we can move on to country group C, reserve. So you're probably wondering, what is that? Why is there no information? It means there's no information right now and is reserved for the future if the regulations want to amend that and provide further guidance on the country groups. But yeah, that's it for country group C, that there's really nothing there. And now on to country group D. So country group D, this is an interesting one because these countries are a little bit, problematic. These are countries of concern for one or more reasons. These are also countries under arms embargo, as you will see here. D5 says, the countries that are under arms embargo. And this is the same list of countries that is found on the ITAR and I think it's important also to mention, that D5 is drawn from as I mentioned, the International Traffic and Arms Regulation, or the ITAR. Those of you familiar with the ITAR, this list actually comes from the prescribed list of countries under ITAR, under section 126.1. If that sounds familiar to you, it comes from there. And I think it's also important to mention that these countries under embargo under the ITAR, that if a country is under an embargo under the ITAR, that embargo immediately applies to the ADR, even though the regulations, still have to amend that to reflect that change. So I thought that was important to mention. And for D1, I thought it was also just interesting or fun fact that, these are countries of concern. And you will also find here most of the former Soviet republics. So I thought it was interesting to mention that in case you were just wondering, or just fun fact. And now we can move into country group E. So this is actually, probably the smallest section under the country groups. As you can see here, we find the general suspects. We find here Cuba, Iran, North Korea, and Syria. And these countries are designated as state sponsor of terrorism or under unilateral embargo. So that's it for the country groups. I think it's also important to mention that some of these countries are found in more than just one group. So sometimes you'll see repeats of a country in different sections. And also their change, these are subject to change. Not very frequently, as for example, the Commerce Country Chart, but they do change every once in a while. Maybe on average once or twice a year, just to give you a sense. And you can always check the Federal Register page to, find the most up-to-date country chart from this, as you can see here. And I believe that's all for now. We wanted to make a short explainer video to understand the country groups. And hopefully this answers some of your questions. And we also wrote an article on this too. You can find it on the ECTI website. We published a couple blog articles. So if you're interested in that, I feel like that is a good way to also answer some of your questions. But definitely if you have any other questions, or if you have any ideas on what the next video should talk about, definitely let us know in the comment section so we can provide more insightful videos like this one. And we hope it was worth your while, and hopefully you can come back and you can take something away from this short video. So thank you so much for watching, and we will be in touch. Thank you.